fight against the shame of public visibility. Like, even if people are looking at you strange, look at them back. like yes, this is happening right here, and I'm not and that's going to take muscle. Like, it's like exercising. Like, because the first couple times you go out and it's going to be like, hey, oh my gosh, people are looking at me. But then it's just like, you know what? I deserve to be here too. There's the guilt that a father has, and then there's a different type of guilt that the mother has, because the mother births the child. And sometimes they feel like the child is this way because of me. And so I would encourage husbands, as much as it is possible within your ability, to affirm your wife and to let them know, like, this is not your doing. Like, this is not your fault. Yeah, I can read all the books. I can listen to all the podcasts. I can get all the therapies. But in a lot of ways, those things are only going to be as helpful as I embrace them within the story and the context of these children and my own experience.
Welcome back to another episode of the Addy Hour podcast. As always, it's my honor to host these conversations, and I appreciate the ways that you all continue to engage in these conversations and share them with your friends, because that really helps us to grow this important discussion on so many topics that are relevant for the world today. I do say this every week, but this is another conversation which I think is really critical for all of us as a society. So today we're going to be talking about neurodivergence and sensory inclusivity. Now, some of you may be hearing that, and then that might already feel close to home, maybe because of your own experience or because of the experience of people in your lives. Others of you may hear that and think, okay, I'm somewhat familiar with those terms, but what does it really mean to be sensory inclusive? And why should I care about it? Well, if you're in either of those categories, I encourage you to be able to listen to this conversation. This is something that's really important and relevant. And I'm also just thrilled to have a brother here with me who's going to share from his personal family journey, but also all the advocacy work that he's done. So with that, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce hip-hop artist, author, professor, speaker, thought leader, also devoted husband and father, Sho Baraka, to the Addy Hour podcast. And I should say welcome back, because you've been here once before.
Thank you. Yes, virtually, but now I have the honor of being in your presence to have this conversation. So excellent and wonderful introduction, sir. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
Some of those were lies, but
no, they were not.
But no, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've already had a little bit of a conversation, maybe banter back and forth before getting online. So there's already, I don't even know how to describe it to you all, but there's already a good energy in the room. And I know this conversation is definitely going to flow.
Excellent.
I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have it.
So just for any of you who aren't familiar with Sho, I'm going to give him just a little bit of a bio.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And I'll let him elaborate as he feels led. So Sho Baraka is a self-described polymath. I'm going to leave it to him to describe what that means to you all if he wants. But he has traveled the world as an artist, performer, consultant, and lecturer. He also has many solo albums that he's released, one which he released this year, if I'm not mistaken. Last year. Yep. See, it's so fresh in my mind. I actually have,
well, that's good.
I have the album.
There we go.
I encourage you all to listen to it. He's also the co-founder of the AND campaign, which is a Christian civic organization. Mm-hmm. And he's a founding member of the internationally renowned hip-hop consortium, the 116 Click. Many different roles, as I alluded to in the introduction, but he also is the director of the Big Tent at Christianity Today. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with his wife, Patrice. They have 3 children, and they have 2 sons who are on the autism spectrum. So they found themselves in this role as advocates for the autism community. So lots of layers to who this individual is. Again, I'm just grateful he's taking time out of his busy schedule to be here. I would say going back, I shouldn't put a number of years on it, 10 plus years since I was first introduced to him through his music. This is not something I would have ever envisioned sitting here having this conversation with you, but it's a privilege and an honor.
I would say the same, in the sense that usually the world of hip hop doesn't lead you to the Ivy League. So this is, there have been some examples, obviously, but no, I think it's been an honor to explore the many layers of who I am, and which has led me to sit at the table with illustrious individuals like yourself. So, and have, I think, meaningful and helpful discussions. Yeah. So absolutely.
I agree.
My honor and privilege.
Yeah. I feel like this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
So even though we've had some of these online, now to sit in the same space.
Yeah. Next is I need to be teaching a class. I don't know what that class is. I don't even know if I'm qualified to teach a class anywhere near neurology, but let's do it. Neurology and hip hop.
This topic has come up before.
Has it? Not with somebody else though. Don't let anybody else teach that class but me.
It came up with somebody else.
I don't care who they are.
Somebody you know well.
Nope. It's my class. It's my idea. I'm
Someone who was actually
I don't care.
pertaining to write a song about neuroscience and mental health.
All right. Well,
I'm sure you can figure out who that was.
I'm the
You are now
chosen one. I'm the chosen one. So
I told you all, there's already a certain energy in the room.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is true to who you are. And to share one story, I remember, so we actually first got connected in person through a video project. The Whole Man Book Project, one of the books that we have here. I was able to contribute one of the devotionals there. And I remember we had that video shoot around those topics of mental health and faith. It's funny because I remember getting the call sheet a couple days before and seeing your name pop up. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder what, I mean, just full I was like, I wonder what Sho is going to share on this platform. So, I mean, to me, it was helpful to hear your journey in a sense too. Right. I think that's one of the things I also appreciate, that you're someone who really cares deeply about other people. Absolutely. And maybe that's where the interim pastor piece came out as well. Yeah. But I think, for listeners as well, this is the type of person, if you sit and spend time with him or just listen to what he has to say, you're definitely going to learn something. Oh, wow. If you're willing to kind of put yourself in that seat. Yeah.
So, or you'll leave frustrated. One of the two.
Or maybe both.
Or maybe it is both, as a song I've written one time.
No, my goodness.
No, man, I think, I think, and this is kind of unrelated, but as you kind of described me as a polymath, I think people like me who probably come to particular positions like this through unconventional ways, sometimes you carry an insecurity about who you are and what you're doing. I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's correlates to my kids and even parenting someone with I guess you can say neurodivergence, is that you go into a space like the Whole Man Project and you're sitting next to counselors, you're sitting next to scientists, you're sitting next to professionals who are experts in this area, and somebody's like, hey, you the rapper who like tell us about, and you're like, I don't know, am I qualified? And then you just have to really embrace who you are and the story that, the journeys, the stories that you have developed. And I think in the same sense, parenting these boys has taught me that as well. It's like, I can read all the books, I can listen to all the podcasts, I can get all the therapies, but in a lot of ways, those things are only going to be as helpful as I embrace them within the story in the context of these children and my own experience. And so it's been a lot of good synergy in how I think. My cultivation in this particular journey has helped me see.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, you're peeling back the layers already. And I always say this on the program, but I think that's one thing that helps people because they get to see behind the scenes in a sense. Because people hear all the accolades. Yeah. And I don't think people are naturally going to think insecurity when they hear about what you've done. But to kind of see behind that and then also know how that impacts how you navigate with your kids, I think is really telling.
No, absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, I can just rant. I don't know if you have a question, but
I do have one.
Okay.
So
because I was about to go.
I could tell. Hold it, but it'll come back.
Cool.
But also I usually ask people just how they're doing in general, but I also want to change the context a little bit because you also talked about maybe even how you're entering the space. So how are you feeling at this moment in time, but also just being here with the path that you've had to get here?
I don't feel anxiety. I think oftentimes when I feel dysregulated, I usually move towards some sort of anxious disposition. I think right now I feel, in my state of life, I feel grounded. I feel centered. I think because the way that I view not only my life, but marriage and parenting is that every marriage, your life goes through multiple seasons. And like marriages go through multiple marriages. Yeah. And as you are parenting individuals, you go through multiple iterations as they go from young, they're adolescent. I mean, they're, kids, then they're preteens, then they're teens, then they're adults. And even in that, like, there are different things you have to negotiate. And so I feel like in this new particular season, we've negotiated well, and we feel fairly comfortable. Now, a year, 2 years, things may change, and we'll have to adapt and maneuver. But as of right now, today, I think I am entering into this space feeling like I've contained the cats. It's like, to use a sports analogy, we're playing good zone defense right now. And once they start to figure out that zone defense, then we don't have to figure out how to. We're like, okay, we got to play man to man now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so so right now I think my wife and I are in a really good space. Our family's in a really good space, and I think me as a professional, I am pretty contented where I am.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things I kind of want to touch on that you've already brought up, but I'm gonna do things a little different because I usually have people kind of talk about their journey, but because we're also talking about sensory inclusivity, I feel like some people might be tuning into the beginning of this conversation, not have a lot of familiarity with it, and be thinking, well, why should I care?
Yeah.
You know, that maybe they walk into a movie theater and they see kids walking in with the headphones and think, oh, is something for just trying to figure out, well, what's happening there? Maybe people I think are becoming more understanding, but not fully having had that experience.
Yes.
So for someone who came up to you and said, why should I even care about this topic? What would be your answer to them in the context of what, I mean, wherever you want to take it, what you've experienced?
One, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think as human beings, I think there's a social fabric that tethers us together through compassion and empathy that I think is really important. We can either lean into that or we can ignore it. And the ways in which we experience that, I can use some personal anecdotes, is like you go to the store and you're walking down the cereal aisle and you see a young boy or a girl just throwing a fit of their life. They're just rolling around, kicking and screaming. They're unintelligible with their language. And you're just thinking in your head, oh my gosh, that parent should get their act together and learn how to control their children. And that was my disposition for most of my life until I had a child who I would take to the grocery store and at any moment could just, because they see something that they want and maybe I wouldn't get it, or maybe the sounds in the stores are too loud, maybe the lights, it's just, there's something that can trigger a response that leads them to an outburst. And then at that moment, what I've had are parents who would walk up to me and do one of two things sometimes. Ooh, just send them home with me and I'll get them right. And I'm like, oh, wow. Do you really want me to? Because at this point in my life, I will send them with you. Or I've had people who've walked up to me in a different situation. But see, before I move on to, and what that does is that you have these judgmental eyes. You have this. You feel the weight of people's expectations on you, and then you're sitting there and you wonder, should I ever bring my son back to the grocery store? Then you even begin to negotiate when you go to the grocery store, how you go to the grocery store, what times, and then you just start to build this shame within yourself. Like, I don't want to be seen in public and embarrassed. And I've dealt with that, and I know parents are dealing with that. And so the more the environment is conducive to being able to understand what's happening, people feel more comfortable. Yeah, you know, on planes, right? I remember being on a plane and a mother was flying somewhere to take her son to have a treatment, and he was just having a moment, and you could just sense that everybody was just so irked. And I remember just leaning over and saying, hey, I got a son on the spectrum. I know what you're going through. Just bless your soul. And she breaks down and starts crying. Wow. But I can only do that because someone actually did that for me. I was in a barbershop and I knew my son had, we had a 45-minute window before my son was like, look, we're going to get this done. And after 45 minutes, I am throwing a fit. Well, because of our barber at that moment wasn't, he just taking his sweet time, was allowing people to cut. About halfway into the haircut, my son just throws a fit. And everybody in the barbershop's looking at me like, oh my gosh, bro, what are you doing? Get your son together. And at this point, this was like the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was like, I really need help. And out of nowhere, I'm walking outside, tears in my eyes, frustrated. A hand touches my shoulder and I turn around. And there's this old white woman who says, it's going to be all right. And I'm just bawling. And the reason why the old white woman description is important because I was in a black barbershop. Oh, okay. And I don't remember seeing her in the barbershop. Yeah. And I walk outside and all of a sudden this woman is consoling me, understanding the condition in which I'm. And I'm like, where did you come from? Are you an angel? What is that? And I just remember that being a moment where I was like, I really need help. And so that day I reached out to an organization called Culture City, who I think was supposed to be here, but because of circumstances could not be here to join us with this interview. And they themselves kind of showed me not only that we need families to be advocates for their kids, but we need to create a society that understands how to be advocates for people who may not be living with neurodivergence in their household. So that's kind of like the reasons why I think we need both people to be aware, but we also need folks who can advocate in ways that will show compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm just processing that story too. I mean, there's so many pieces to that too.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out where that woman came from.
It took me, bro. Let me tell you something. I know it was like you ever been to a black barbershop? And I'm sitting there and it's like packed, and I don't remember seeing anybody who was not black in the barbershop. And when I walk outside, all of a sudden the show, and I was like this, but I took it as a couple of things. I took it not only as an act of consolation for me, but I was like, yo, this is an opportunity for me to also be an advocate. And I think oftentimes we think that means, go fight for legislation. Culture City has done great things for creating sensory spaces for like in zoos and arenas, but they've also worked with restaurants to provide, I guess you can say, sensory boxes for people. Yeah. So if I go to a restaurant and my kid may be overstimulated, well, here's some headphones, here's a tablet, here's some sensory tools to keep you, engaged. And it's simple things like that. Yeah. But then it's also just being able to understand that in this public space, I may see or experience or come across somebody who may not demonstrate the social behaviors that I would want them to demonstrate in public, but that's okay. Yeah. And I want this to be a safe space for them to be able to deal with it in a way that they don't feel they're being judged and condemned, if you will.
Because I mean, I feel like even the small things make a huge difference. Because you already mentioned two of them. You mentioned what you did for the lady on the plane. Like that was in the program.
Absolutely.
You just reached out. One small act. Yeah. Which impacted her. What this woman did for you. One small act. But at the same time, there's also, I think it's too easy for people on the outside to not put themselves in that situation. Yeah. Because you're talking about, do I go to the grocery store at all? Right. Do I go by myself? Do I go in the middle of the night?
Exactly.
Like all that, it's changing how you're operating day to day. And for someone to just be judging that without actually thinking, well, how would that impact me if I was in that situation? Yeah. It's just a necessity.
I'll tell you how even, how dramatic it gets, or it got, because there was a period where it was very difficult to just navigate even the directions in which I go home. Because if I pass a McDonald's and my son sees it and we don't stop, like it's a fit in the back of the car. And it's like, well, now I have to change the ways in which I go home. And he got so good at navigation, he would he would try to tell me which way to go. He'd be like, no, this way. And I'm like, we're not going that way, buddy. We're going this way. And so until you are, I mean, most things, a problem is not a problem until it's your problem. And I think proximity creates the best opportunities for compassion and empathy. Yeah. And until you put yourself in proximity, and I think family members can do this in considering simple things like when do you invite me to certain shindigs and events knowing that my son may be disruptive. Sometimes I felt at one point in time we didn't get invited to certain things because our kids would be disruptive, when we come to your house, is it okay that my kid will navigate in particular spaces? Yeah. And look, we try our best. It's not that we are like, hey, free reign.
Exactly. Yep.
Genghis Khan, just take over, But it's like, hey, like don't go in that room, buddy. But if he goes in that room, like, is it the end of our relationship, our friendship? So it's just things like that. You have to consider that sometimes your friendships change. Yeah. The dynamic in your relation, your social interactions change because of your children. So
I want to come back to that too, but also as you're talking, I'm thinking maybe of a broader kind of social commentary in terms of, do we show empathy for the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis, not knowing what they might be going through at home? So I'm thinking maybe going all the way back to the beginning of this conversation. I was first introduced to you through your artistry. That's the one specific layer. And when you showed up on the panel, I didn't know why, because I didn't know about everything. But does that mean when I interact with you and you have something going on, that I have no empathy for what might be going on in home life? You're on the road, and I'm assuming you're on the road, you're writing books. You still have a family.
Right.
You still have kids going through that. So I guess one question is, how does that impact you when you quote unquote go out and when you come back? And if there are things that kind of pop off while you're out because there's stuff you're dealing with, do people actually have empathy for that? Or they're like, why is he acting out right now? So I know I asked like 3 questions in one, but wherever, maybe I'm thinking about just the perfect. So I'm thinking about how do people interact in society and get quickly a judgment without even trying to think about, well, what's going on in this person's life? That's the bigger question behind the question.
I think I understand the question. So for me, from an individual that has to leave, that left home often, it made me grow even greater compassion for my wife and my daughter, who, in a lot of ways, one of the people who get ignored most in families that have individuals, any kind of disability or neurodivergence, is the neurotypical kid, because you give so much attention to the needs of the kids who need to therapies, need to go to doctor, and the neurotypical kid feels, at times, even if they don't say it, they probably feel ignored. But then they also carry the burden, well, when mom and dad is no longer around, it's my responsibility. And so we had to really communicate to my daughter, hey, this is not your life. Live your life. As long as we are living, this is our responsibility. And we're going to try to live as long as we can, love each other as long as we can, to provide the best opportunities in life for our sons. And so I think I grew in compassion, understanding what it meant for my wife to be playing zone defense by herself.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to be excellent in what you do, whether you're teaching, whether you're speaking, whether you're performing, but you're always alert of, well, what's happening back home? What are the things? And then to your point, sometimes you're not, you're wondering if what do people know about my life, and do they even care about the things that I'm going through? But one of the things that taught me is to be more aware of other people.
Oh, okay.
It's so now I'm more, I think I'm more sensitive to being alert to what's going on in people's lives, and trying to be more compassionate, trying to be a person who understands, if somebody says something maybe rude, look, that could be a cascade of things that started this morning. And it's not that they don't like me or that they're just a rude, nasty individual. They're just probably going through something.
Yeah.
And so I just try to give people the benefit of a doubt. And so I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I feel like if we could be more like that as a society, it would just be healthy. I mean, because I can think of specific instances where it happened, but it's not commonplace. So I used to play in a 30-plus basketball league. And one of the guys who was probably in his 60s, I think, just lived longer, just had a different lens on things. And he said, you never know what people bring to the basketball court that day.
Absolutely.
You don't know what they went through at work, at home. You don't know if they're here to get things. So he's basically you just need to have compassion and don't assume. Yeah. If something seems a little off, they're carrying something in with them, and you don't just need to come down on them right away. But I don't feel like we operate.
No, we don't.
That way.
We live in such an isolated, we live in crowded loneliness. We're in proximity to people, but we live so autonomous. Our lives are so disjointed and disconnected from community. Just in the ways we live, the houses, there's no real desire to be in intimate relationship with people. And because of that, we don't really want to be known because we're so busy. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, at one point in time, it's a thriving city today because of its I guess you can say its maxim in the 60s was a city that's too busy to hate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so for all intents and purposes, that was a great thing, because while other cities were, practicing segregation well into the 70s, et cetera, Atlanta said, you know what, we're going to look at the benefit of integration for commerce, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to be too busy to hate.
Yeah. Yep.
But what happens when you're no longer busy? You know what I'm saying? And so in a sense, we as a people, we inoculate ourselves with just things to keep ourselves busy. And so therefore we where as the story in the scriptures, the people who passed the Samaritan, and then eventually there's somebody who says, you know what, let me consider my neighbor. And I'm pretty sure the priests and the individuals who passed the person who was beaten and robbed had good reasons to continue to go about their lives. They probably had a conference they had to go speak at. They had to go teach a class. They probably had to go perform on a stage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are great things. They had to go provide for their family.
Yeah.
But at some point, somebody said, I'm willing to be disrupted in order to help somebody. Yeah. And I think that's all this is. It's just, man, what does it look like to give up some of my conveniences, to not be too busy, to love the person that is next to me?
Do you think we care enough as a society to get there?
Absolutely not.
And what do we do about that? Because I mean, I feel like that's the goal of Culture City. I mean, even just if people go to the website, I mean, watching some of the videos, they're so moving because they really bring you into someone's world. And you get to see things through their lens. But then, to your other point, if we don't care as a society, how do we actually get things? Yeah. That to me sounds like a big tension point. I think how do we cross over?
Yeah, I think there are pockets within our society that care.
Okay.
So, a restaurant or an institution is only going to care in as much that the people who run the institution feel like this is something that is, I guess you can say, adjacent to things that they are wrestling with. So maybe they have a nephew, maybe they have a child, maybe they have a cousin or something that, and they be like, you know what? But you also, in some ways, which is very savvy, and I'm not saying this is the model for Culture City, but you also got to appeal to people's self-interest.
Yeah.
So you go to an institution, you say, hey, you know what? People with disabilities are probably one of the greatest overlooked people groups in our society. And if you want to raise revenue in this space, you probably need to consider them. And then you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should. And they really have no interest in the conditions of the people, but they really concerned with making money. And in a lot of ways, this is what I'm saying. Like Atlanta may have been an example of that. Did they really genuinely care about the well-being of people who were oppressed and marginalized? You could argue maybe so. But what they really cared about was commerce.
Yeah.
And so if you can appeal to that, well, even in that sense, you create a better society for some people. And by, I guess you can say, by default or in proximity, people begin to rub against the things in which they probably had no interest in changing, but now slowly they're being integrated when they walk into a restaurant. They I see this family and they're dealing with neurodivergence, so they see, oh, okay, that's interesting. And you go here, that's interesting. And so as a society, no, I don't think we're good, but I just don't think Americans in general, the thing that makes America great is our sense of like arrogance about how good we are and how great we can be, our sense of autonomy and power. But I also think that is our detriment. And so because of this individualism, we are so interested in our own self-interest and our own sensibilities. Yeah. And so to sacrifice those takes a whole lot. To ask them, and I even think about my own, and I'm not just saying this as, I'm saying this as an individual who had all kinds of expectations for his life. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have 3 wonderful, perfect children who would grow up, go to prom, play sports, be, practice instruments, be excellent writers or whatever, and go on to do great things. I can go to their graduations, see them get married, have children,
Yep.
And so now, as I'm at a space where I have friends who are empty nesters, and I realize like I will never be an empty nester. And so these are things that are great inconveniences in my life that I have to embrace and accept. And this is a new life for me. It's an inconvenience. Some people, it's a form of to religious language, it's the thorn in my side, as Paul said, but it produces grace. It recognizes that I can't excel or live without the trust in the Spirit and God. Like, God, I don't have the capacities and the resources to live this life out. I need you. I need other people in order to make this thing work. And so He's thus far provided it in abundance.
Yeah, so well said. I mean, to follow up on that, what would you say to parents in this role? Because you hinted on a lot of, there's all the expectations, whether we say them or not, for our own careers, for what our kids will look like, what our kids will do, for what our spouses, and all those pieces. So for a parent, maybe different stages, one who's starting to notice some things or is further along their journey, how would you advise them to navigate? Because it's, for lack of a better word, it's going to feel disruptive.
It's absolutely disruptive.
And you have to figure out what to do with that. I mean, you mentioned just, God's power and strength day to day, but like, what does that look like?
Absolutely.
Even practically?
Well, I would say allow them, I think first, give yourself space to lament, to be angry, to grieve. Like, if you don't do that, then you're suppressing something that is natural within yourself, right? Because the loss of these expectations are real. It's a real thing. And so you need to allow yourself the space to say, this is not the life that I wanted. And then eventually, hopefully, you'll get to a place where you'll say, but it is the life that I will live. I think about the Psalms. The Psalms are a wonderful case study on doubt and reconciliation. David is constantly, and the other writers of the Psalms are constantly frustrated with God. Why are you doing this? This is not right. I don't agree with this. I am upset. You should have done a different. However, I trust in you. And that may take years to get to that place. And I think that's the first step. It's just to allow yourself to just lament, to cry, to grieve, to be angry, but to try your best to hold on to love and contentment at the same time. Then the next thing I would say is just seek help. No one is going to make it on you. Like, you can't do this on your own. You're probably not going to become an expert on autism and neurology overnight, but I would say seek help, not only in the sense of like social help, like friends, family members, but also our communities of like, whether it be communities online, communities in person, through churches, just people who may galvanize folks in this similar situation or circumstance you're in, and say, hey, I just need to talk to people, because you realize you're not by yourself. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm not on this island, But then I would also say is like, how do you seek resources that can help? Man, the more I got introduced to organizations like Culture City or government assistance, the things that where or schools, things, institutes and therapies. Excuse me. It makes your life easier, because now you're being able to seek the advice of professionals. But then the other thing is also understand that the life you will live is a life of sacrifice. And so that's probably the hardest thing, is to know that in every season moving forward, you no longer live for yourself. And most people will say like, oh no, I knew that. I knew even when I got married, I had to, it's no longer living. But you don't realize how much your life will drastically change when you have people in your life who you have to take care of, that for the rest of your life. So now all your decisions are filtered through, how will this impact not only today, but my future, the jobs you take, the places in which you live, the neighborhoods in which you live, the house you buy. Because now you're like, if somebody, depending on the mobility of your child, you're like, well, if he gets outside and we used to live down the street from a Chick-fil-A, and my so is still obsessed with Chick-fil-A.
Understandably so.
Both of them are. Now my youngest is more obsessed. But literally, he would try to break out the house and run to Chick-fil-A, and he did it a couple times.
Oh my goodness!
We had neighbors bring him home, and so this is another thing. Like, get acquainted with your neighbors. Get acquainted with the what do you call it? The first responders in your community. It's just be desperate for help. We are prideful people. America is a very prideful people as well, and. Well, you got to understand, you're not going to make this being prideful. You're not. You have to understand that I am going to need help, and I'm going to have to be humbled in the sense that I need help. And that's why I tell people, ask family members like, hey, I need your help. Could you guys watch? And take breaks too. That's the other thing. Is like seek respite. It's okay to say, look, I need to get away for about a weekend. I need to, like, can because I'm gonna kill this. Like, and I don't think people. It's like we, especially, and I'm speaking to especially Christians, we feel like we have to operate in this veneer of perfection, this kind of pristine life, and we can't wrestle with doubt. We can't wrestle with anger. We can't express our frustrations, and we can't tell the truth about our soul. And the moments I think you do that is when I believe you're closest to God.
Yeah.
Because you're not withholding or hiding your true feelings and emotion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really good. Really practical.
Yeah.
One thing for parents who might be in the early phase with a lament, what do people do with guilt? Because you did talk about lamenting into this, but that guilt is still going to pop up too. Like, you know, I'm out in the store, my kid's acting this way. Oh, I did something wrong. Yeah. Even if I do like that has to still. Like,
I'll speak. So I think there's the guilt that a father has, and then there's a different type of guilt that the mother has. Okay. Because the mother births the child. And sometimes they feel like the child is this way because of me. And so I would encourage husbands, as much as it is possible within your ability, to affirm your wife and to let them know, like, this is not your doing. Like, this is not your fault. Like, we don't know why this happened, but what we're going to do is love each other through this. And this is just as much my responsibility. And for people who aren't married, I would say, just if you are a brother, a friend, a sister, console that person. Let them know this is not your fault. But I know that's not going to be enough, because my wife, she's carried this guilt, if you will, for years. So I would say counseling. I would say counseling is one. Just constant affirmations that, and once again, to go to religion and scriptures, or the Christianity and religion, it reminds me of in the book of John, where the disciples approach Jesus and they say, why was this man born blind? Did the parents do something wrong? Did he do something wrong? Like, there has to be some explanation, right? Because nobody's just, and Jesus says he was born blind so that God may get the glory. And that may sound a little morbid, but the reality on how I discern this particular scripture is that we're learners through these particular obstacles. These things are given to us to produce a particular something in us. Faith, trust, compassion. And so God is going to get glory out of this, and we are going to become better human beings and people because of this circumstance and this situation. As another scripture says, God won't put more on us than we can bear, right? And so I just try to encourage people through that scripture. It's like, hey, I know you feel like this is something that you have done wrong, but guess what? God is using this to draw us closer to him. He's going to draw our son closer. And through this, we're going to be hopefully a resource to other people. And so I would say that is one way that I would encourage. But I would also say, fight against the pressures, fight against the shame of public visibility. Like, even if people are looking at you strange, look at them back. like yes, this is happening right here, and I'm not and that's going to take muscle. Like, it's like exercising. Like, because the first couple times you go out, and it's going to be like, hey, oh my gosh, people are looking at me. But then it's just like, you know what? I deserve to be here too. Like, I deserve to be here too. And guess what? You're just gonna have to deal with it. And so I would say those are the things that I try to exercise. And what I've found is, more than not today, when I take my boys in public, and they don't stimulate, they don't stem as much as they used to. They don't demonstrate erratic behavior, nowhere near as much as they used to. But they, it's obvious. 10 seconds of observing them, maybe 50 seconds, you'll be like, especially my oldest son, you'll be like, oh, he's on the spectrum. My youngest, maybe not so much. Okay. More than not, I'll get people who will walk up to me randomly like, oh my gosh, I just love the way that you're loving. Oh my gosh, I've saw, and it's just like, I take pride in that, but also there's a part of me that's like, why am I being praised for doing something that I should do?
Yeah.
It's an interesting dilemma, but and I try to encourage other people too. Like, so it's just, so that people feel like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, I belong here. So.
Yeah. But hopefully those people actually carry that with them somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So that hopefully their mindset is changed. So the next time they see someone acting out, they're not going straight to judgment.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they can think back, oh, I saw this father with his sons. Maybe, and hopefully, this is just aspirational, but hopefully it's also changing something about how they're navigating.
And I think popular culture in some ways, whether it be TV shows, Love on a Spectrum, or just different shows that are trying to bring neurodivergent awareness to the forefront of people. And so I think even like younger people are starting to be more aware, like, okay, yeah, like they have like neurospicy. It's like all kind of terms.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about all those, but in general, I think it's good because they seem to be more sensitive to including this type of language and these people into the general ethos of our society.
Yeah. Well, that's really good.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do wonder, because people still use this term invisible disability.
Yeah.
For good reason. But what does that mean to you?
I think it carries some of the nuances that we've already talked about. Like I have friends I have a friend of mine who his son, I have a friend of mine who his daughter is like, the moment you see her, like, there are things that there's some difficulties, not only in her for physical form, but maybe in her social interactions that are impeding her growth, her social aptitude or whatever. But if you were to just see a picture of my kids, or if you were to see them sitting down, you wouldn't assume this about them. And so because of that assumption, there's an expectation that comes with their particular behaviors, right? And so there are certain people who are dealing with things that we assume because of their physical presence, they're going to be like us. And so we operate in a world, or we do things. Like I took my boy to a basketball game, and until I sat with him at this game and saw him struggle through this, we had to actually leave because I didn't realize, I was like, oh wow, like how loud this place is.
Yeah.
The flashing of lights, the strobes, it's just the overstimulation that I'm cool with, that I'm used to, that he's wrestling deeply with. And so because of that, it made me more keen to just everywhere I go, like okay. Now, oh man, now I'm starting to think, okay, yeah, like this is interesting. Like I can see how this is overstimulating.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, it just makes me, I think when I think about being visible, it makes me sensitive to things that for me are commonplace, but for other people may not be.
Yeah.
That we would make accommodations for people who are like in wheelchairs, who have physical kind of impediments or whatnot. But those people who have invisibles, it's harder for us to discern those, and we have to actually put ourselves in that position or walk in tandem with them, I guess you can say, to experience them alongside, and then figure out, all right, now how do we service these people who have invisible disabilities, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe to expand a little bit, if you're willing, like what are some of the things that Culture City is actually doing to create these sensory inclusive spaces?
One of the things that that I love that they're doing, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is that it started off with, well, I don't know. I want to be mindful. I don't want to share too much of a personal story because I don't know how much of this is public. But there are certain people in an organization who were asked to leave church because their kids were disruptive in church. And because of that was the impetus of like, people need spaces, not only just in church, but everywhere for their kids to feel included. And so now when you'll go to like a restaurant, you'll see a sign in certain places that's like a heart with headphones, and that alerts a family like, oh, this place is sensory inclusive. And so if I go there, not only are the staff possibly trained in how to engage with these individuals, but they have tools and resources, whether it be like maybe an iPad or maybe headphones or sensory tools. And that is not only just expanded in churches and restaurants, but now to zoos. I think almost every zoo in the nation.
Wow.
Arenas. I know they've partnered with the NBA. I've done some voiceover work for Culture City and their sensory inclusion, and they've worked with police departments.
That's huge. Yeah.
where, I mean, there have been national cases where certain people have been shot and approached or treated violently because they don't know how to follow certain, the way that they've been engaged and has, is different from someone who's neurotypical, right? And so police departments are being trained on how to like recognize someone who may be probably on the spectrum and whatnot. So it's just simple things like that. But also it's just they like host balls, which I think raise money. I love that they're, you know, Julian, who is the founder, is a physician, so he has directed people towards particular therapies and counsel that I think is helpful. So yeah, it's just, yeah, I think you can go on their website. You can, if you're somebody who just got a diagnosis or you're concerned about your kid possibly being on the spectrum, there are certain tools that give you like, this is what this is what this means. Here's some next steps that you probably need to proceed in. So I think it's like almost like an A to Z to help you walk through like what it means to receive a diagnosis, to how can I not only seek help for my child, but to also assist other people into creating spaces that are inclusive for my children or family members.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, I'm again just even going through website, it's emotional to watch, but also makes me appreciative of how much it's been done, how much impact. I mean, there's still more work to do, but how much impact it has kind of across the board.
And I just think it's not only just good to create spaces, but it also creates a community and a sense of a piece of just, I guess I don't want to say pride. It's just a pride in you. Like, man, okay, like they are so adamant about making us feel like whole.
Yeah.
That it's good just to have a site, a space, videos just to watch and say, oh, like we're celebrated.
Yeah,
like,
that's huge.
They'll have events where they'll have like talent shows for people on the spectrum, and it's just like, it's just stuff like that where you're like, this is wonderful. So
yeah, that's huge. One thought though, at the risk of making this an us them kind of conversation, sometimes I also just wonder what you would want those who don't have these experiences in their proximity to just realize or understand, like misconceptions or anything like that.
That the spectrum is truly a spectrum. And so there are a lot of things, and there have been great attempts at trying to explain what autism is. And, you know, Rain Man is one. I don't think What's Eating Gilbert's Grape, I think, is another. You know, popular culture has made some wonderful pieces of cinema to try to, but then what happens is that person becomes the trope or the caricature for all of, like, you know, neurodivergence, if you will. And so people will say, oh, but what is he like? What is he expert at? Like, what is he an expert at? What is he fixate? And it's like, but that's not, that's a trope. That's not like what autism is, you know? And so I would hope that, and I don't expect everybody to go read a book, but just know when someone says that their kid is on the spectrum or they have autism, that it doesn't mean that they're Rain Man, that they're an expert, like they are great at math, that they like they fixate on math and they can just count cards and like that for me, that was my ignorance for a long period of time until I had a child on spectrum. I was like, oh, okay, because I was waiting for, I was like, hey, but we go to the casino as soon as you turn 18.
Oh my goodness.
And so yeah, there's a lot of ignorance, and I mean that in the real, like the true definition. There's a lot of ignorance when it comes to what autism is, and the whole high functioning, low functioning thing too is like, you know, I think there is a genuine interest in trying to communicate like where you are on the spectrum, but sometimes that can be quite sensitive and offensive to certain people. And even if someone is nonverbal, doesn't mean like they can't speak. Like my kids are technically nonverbal, but they speak, they read, they can write, but they're not going to have conversation. So there's certain aspects, whether it be the inability to hold like social conversations, relationships, the over or understimulation. Like there are different aspects of autism which I don't think the general public really truly understand, which I understand. Like but I would say enter with more curiosity than certainty is what I would say. Yeah.
I mean, that's why I was kind of taking it from like curiosity and being a learner.
Yeah.
At the same time, what's the balance or the sweet spot between not being, what's the best way to say this, an annoying learner?
Yeah.
Like, oh, do they do that? Because this is an assumption.
I hear you.
But if I were in that situation, every time I go out, I don't want people asking me 50 questions. Does it do this? I'm just trying to learn. I just want to be like, I'm going to be like, okay, let me point you to this resource so I can also live my life. So where...
Yeah, I don't know if walking to me like at a grocery store, be like, hey, I got these 30 questions I need you to survey. I don't know if that's the best place. But if you're a friend or if you see me often in a space, like, I don't mind having a conversation there, but maybe just a passing stranger stopping me every day. Like, I don't know if that's the best way. So I would say I don't really think other than restricting like private time I would love for people to ask questions with folks they have a relationship with or they're in proximity with often, because I think that's helpful.
And they can learn over time.
Yeah, and they can learn over time, or just do research. I mean, there are wonderful websites out there that can teach you, and also. But here's the other thing I would say, even for us parents, people, one of the things that I learned recently, and it's randomly just popped in my head, is there are assumptions that we have about autism that we also have to deconstruct. One of the things, like, I didn't know my son could read until my teacher one day was like, said something. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, he can read and he can spell. And I was like, what do you mean he can read and he can spell?
Wow.
And he's like, and I was like blown away because I had so low expectations for him. And I was like, well, now that you can read and spell, I'm about to hit you with some Odyssey.
Oh my goodness.
We're about to read all. So, but the other thing is, one of the things that we stopped doing was talking about our kids, around our kids, without assuming that they had an understanding. We used to baby talk to them for up and forth. It was like, no, and realizing, no, speak to them like they have the comprehension. Don't talk about them as if they're not in a room. Talk about them like they understand, and even if they can't join the conversation, they're picking things up. There's comprehension there, and I think once we started doing that, we started seeing just marvels in their interaction and their communication with us. Yeah, both my kids. So. Just don't have too low expectations for them. IEPs are important, but push them and push yourself to believe that they can achieve certain things that maybe even you thought that they couldn't at one point in life. So so I would say, like, the general public probably has great assumptions, but we also need to deconstruct some of the assumptions that we have of our kids.
And that just speaks to the power of community again too. Because you were saying the teacher told you that. You didn't figure it out yourself.
Absolutely.
And so you're at least being willing to learn and to hear from community so they can help you.
And one of the reasons why we stopped the talking about our kids around them was a YouTube video of a young lady with autism who she couldn't speak, but she can type. And she was telling her family all the things that she heard them talk about. And I was like, yo, I was like, so as of today, we're not doing this anymore. Yeah.
No. Wow. But again, you're open to that and to breaking down those assumptions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know if folks are listening all the way through, which some people do, shout out to you all who are still listening, because we see those stats. Yeah. But I'm sure they're getting a lot out of this. Yeah. The other thing, though, that I also, just because of your one aspect of who you are as an artist, and I know that was a piece that maybe wasn't intentional, but there's kind of merger of artistry and advocacy. What did that look like, and what have you seen come out of that?
This is where you play my song right here. And insert my song. It was an accidental thing. I had a friend who, the first time I wrote about parenting someone, my child on the spectrum, a friend of mine wanted to do a song about fatherhood. And he said, man, I want you to write about your experience. And I had never thought about it before.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. So I wrote, it's his song, but I wrote a verse on his song. And I really didn't think too deeply about it until after I recorded it. It was mixed and mastered. They sent it back to me, and it was like, hey, here's the finished product. Tell us what you think. And I listened to it, and I was like, yo, what am I doing?
Like was it like did I actually say that type of thing?
Like it was like,
Oh, wow.
I am like, this is like, I am encouraging myself. And then once the song was released, I just started getting a whole bunch of people who had no idea who I was. People who had a friend or a family member, they were like, hey, I got sent this song and I just want to thank you for writing. This is my story. This is my journal. That's how I got connected with Culture City. Julian heard that song and reached out to me and was like, hey man, I heard this song and I want you to be a part of what we're doing. And since then, there have been opportunities for me to speak, to interact and engage. And it's been this really interesting tension that I've wrestled with as someone who operates in a public space.
Yeah.
One is because I know how easy it is to manipulate this into a platform. And I didn't want to be that person who turned my kid's condition into a platform for me. You know, like, I'm the autism expert dad. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen people who, and it may not even be like an autism space, but they use their kids in ways, and I'm like, I mean, excellent. And it probably starts off as something really genuine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it becomes their brand and the thing, and it's just like, I just don't like that. Also, I do like a little bit of privacy. Like, my wife is not on social media, so she's the kind of person who's like, why do you have to post? And I'm like, ma'am, I don't post anything. Like, if anybody needs to post more, I need to post more. This is my life of
Different
career.
perspectives.
Yeah, it's like, and she's like, every time you. So anyway, all that to say, so I've tried to wrestle with what does it look like to be someone who knows that people are interested in some ways in what I have to say, who've been encouraged by the things I've said, who like the songs that I've written about this, but also knowing there's a time and a place when to share. And so it's really interesting.
How do you make those decisions?
I really don't know. I don't think there's a science to it. I just feel like if I get spiritual, it's really, I just trust in the spirit. Like, hey, I wrote another song many years after that first song, which once again got a lot of wonderful responses, but it was really out of the burden of my heart. Like, I didn't write it because I felt like, you know what I need to do is I need to write a song about autism. Like, I wrote it because I was like, this is grieving me right now. And I really want to create a song that I think is consoling families who are in this particular position. When, was it September? In September, when Robert Kennedy Jr., RFK, made the announcement on Tylenol, I felt like, man, I should do a video encouraging families who are just grieving, whether like they agree with this announcement or whatever. And it didn't really have anything to do with the cause, but it just really just communicated like, hey, you're seen. And that video got a lot of attention. I wrote a liturgy for a book for Every Moment Holy around a prayer, just a prayer for parenting kids on the spectrum. And I get a lot of responses for that. And so it usually happens when I just feel like I am grieved by something or somebody asks me to do something. But oftentimes I don't find it in my nature to just post videos or to do things because I just feel like, hey, it's a Wednesday and I should do a weekly update on autism, which other people do, and I think it's fine. Like, I think there's an encouragement because I'll watch videos where a mother is showing a video of her son just enjoying life, and I'm like, man, that's great. And I'm like, that's wonderful. I just don't know if that's my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just kind of operate in that tension.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, even in what you just said, there's a lot of lessons there too.
Yeah.
Just in terms of trying to have that discernment.
Yeah.
But even the fact that you use the word grieve.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bigger conversation. We've had that conversation the last time you were on this podcast. But just as Black men, do we actually allow ourselves to have emotions?
Yeah.
You also talked about just lamenting when you get a diagnosis. Like that, it's important, but even that is not a small step.
No, it's not.
To even say, because I when I was hearing you say that, part of me was saying, that sounds good. but the natural tendency is to stuff it so I can actually deal with what's in front of me. I don't want to think about all the stuff I'm losing. I just need to make sure I get my kids to this particular.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I mean, especially men. We men with boys are going to try to live vicariously through their boys. And I've learned as my son is getting older, I am going through multiple grieving processes. So he has a little prom and I'm sitting there taking him to prom and I'm like, oh man. You know, and then it'll be just little things like, man, I wish I'll go somewhere and I'll see a son and a father interacting and it's like, man, I don't have that interaction. And so what does it look like to learn how to create new experiences with my boy? And I think that is something that we as parents have to learn how to do. Is like we've seen it done one way. How do we recreate different interactions? So one of the ways in which I interact with my boy is he does something called scripting, where he'll watch movies and he'll recite lines throughout the day. And sometimes he'll use these lines, which is fascinating, appropriately in conversation with me and my wife. And so, but there are times when he'll also say a line and he'll look at me with the expectation that I'm gonna deliver the next line. And we just have fun. Like that's our way of playing tag, or that's our way of talking about how's your day today. You know what I'm saying? He'll say a line. Like VeggieTales is one of his favorite TV shows. He'll say, "Why would I steer you wrong?" And he'll look at me, and I'm supposed to say 5 gold coins. And if I just say 5 gold coins, he's like,
"It's not sufficient."
He's like, "Come on, Dad." And he'll say it again.
Really?
He'll be like, "Why would I steer you wrong?" And I've done this intentionally. I'll just say 5 gold coins. And he's like, "Why would I steer you wrong?" And until I give him the energy that the show gives him, then he's like, "Good job." And then he walks off.
Wow.
And he literally, he's like, "I'm satisfied."
Wow.
So that's the way that we interact. And it's little things like that. He doesn't want to go to, baseball games, basketball games, but he loves eating out at restaurants. And so he'll ask me to go to a restaurant, and I'll like, this is our going out to the park. And so let's go to Waffle House. Let's go sit down at this restaurant that I've never heard of before. Let's see if we find something good. So these are the ways in which I'll, and sometimes I just make it fun. I'll just talk to him and just make up a conversation and see. And then have my own conversation with him and be like, "Yeah, that's good. Okay, how was your day? Good. Okay, cool." You know what I'm saying? The teacher. Yeah, teachers can do that sometimes, man. Yeah, good talking to you.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, even as you're sharing, like I can see the joy on your face.
Oh man,
and it almost seems like if you don't, there could have been a missed opportunity there.
Absolutely.
If you said, "I only wanted my son to be this way, I want to interact this way," you missed this whole other aspect that brings joy. That without that flexibility to actually pivot in a sense, is a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. And you just have to be attentive. You have to pay attention and be willing to just say, "All right, this is the life that I've been given. I'm gonna make the best of it."
Yeah. And it still sounds like, I mean, from someone kind of sitting, listening, there's so much purpose there too.
Yeah.
Even in things that you didn't expect. When people hear the music and say, "This is my life, this encouraged me." There's purpose there.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure that was not the plan.
No, absolutely
From how you
not.
described
like
it.
It's taught me so many things. One of the greatest things this has taught me, and I've already talked about how to be compassionate and show empathy and be an advocate. One of the other great things it's taught me is that love is not based on performance.
Ooh, yeah.
My kids probably won't perform in ways in which I want them to perform, but they're still my kids and I still love them. And it really drives home the example of biblical love in a sense. It's like, man, I am going to fail God often, but yet he still loves me. And so, yeah, man, my love for my kids will not change. I will always be there for them. And yet they won't perform in the way that I want them to perform. And so, and how do we take that into other relationships potentially?
Yeah. Because I mean, as you're saying that sounds like a parenting lesson across the board.
Yeah.
At all layers.
Yeah.
Whether kids are on the spectrum.
Yep.
or
Absolutely.
not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't even know how to close this conversation. I feel like you've I mean, so many important things.
No, man, thank you for having me. It's been a blessing.
Through your lens of insight and your lens of humor, which they're always close together, in my opinion. But anything you want to kind of leave listeners with or viewers with? To encourage them. I mean, you've done it throughout, but
yeah. This will probably be more for parents. One of the pivotal moments in my marriage is my wife and I went to a retreat for parents with kids on the spectrum. And the counselors said something. There was a couple who was counseling us, and they just said something so simple but so profound. They said, if you want your kids to have a wonderful life, you two have to love each other as much as possible and live as long as possible. And then everything else will work itself out.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so this is more, in a lot of ways, this is more about my wife and I's relationship.
Yeah.
Because the reflection of love that we have for one another is going to be filtered into how we love our kids. So
wow.
I would say love each other as long as possible, live as long as possible.
Yeah. Well said. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks again for taking the time and joining to share honestly. I mean, I know there's a lot because I'm sensing the joy. I'm still sensing some of even the process. I could be off, but the process that you're walking through day to day. So I know that takes that. I don't take that lightly by any means. So
man. As soon as the camera's turned off, I'm going to cry. I'm going to the corner and cry.
Which, if you do, is totally fine and appropriate. To reinforce that.
Amen. Excellent.
Oh, man. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.